Hey guys, this is Ian here again. I'm hoping everyone is safe and staying healthy. Today, I wanted to talk about a big issue with people I talk to who are just getting started in e-commerce, and that is sourcing. What is sourcing? It's finding how to make the products that you want to sell. Pretty important for anything we want to sell. So let's jump into it. We're going to start with one of the biggest issues, and that's talking about the difference between the difference between drop shipping, white label, private label, and custom manufacturing. Now, let's jump into drop shipping. What is drop shipping? You hear it a lot. A lot of people, you'll see the Facebook ads, the blog posts about, I made $100,000 this month in drop shipping. They make it sound really easy. What is drop shipping? Drop shipping is selling a product that you don't physically have, that a manufacturer or some fulfillment center that has a lot of different products fulfills the order for you without your branding. This is not a custom branded product. This is just a generic product that is being shipped by a third party that you are selling on your website. People make a lot of money with it. I think it's a viable way to start an e-commerce store. It's also very difficult, and it's not as easy as as those Facebook ads and maybe Ty Lopez says. um, and drop shipping is you're not involved in the manufacturing process. From there, we go to white labeling. What is white labeling? White labeling you see with both services and products, and it's you are just slapping your label on a manufacturer's product who they're selling to many different companies. White label and private label are actually very similar. For private labeling, the only real difference is sometimes some manufacturers will allow you to customize the product slightly. Maybe in bottles, how it's bottled or how it's packaged, or maybe it's slight changes to the product. It's similar though in that when you private label and white label, for the most part, you're taking a product that a manufacturer is already making for other people, and you're putting your branding on it. They're very similar. Just will depend manufacturer to manufacturer on what you're going to be able to do. And finally, you have custom manufacturing, which is custom. It's going to be something that's different from what a manufacturer is already producing. And the main difference when it comes to pricing between white label or private label and custom manufacturing is that obviously anything that a manufacturer doesn't do already, it's going to be more expensive than something they do already. So if you're making something, let's say plastic, usually there's a mold that they have to make in order to replicate it. So that's going to cost you money up front for that. And then they'll need to make a mold even just for the sample. So there's a lot more money that goes into custom manufacturing. One of the other things that we want to focus on when we're manufacturing and all these different, between white label, private label, and custom manufacturing is minimum order quantities. So if a manufacturer already makes this product that you want to label yourself and market and sell, the minimum order quantities are going to be less. So MOQs, you might see that term being thrown around a lot. That's minimum order quantity. A lot of times you're going to find that minimum order quantity in the 1,000 to 2,000 range for a lot of different products. That can change. You'll find some manufacturers who are able to do in the hundreds. Some manufacturers are going to require 5,000 or 10,000 minimum order, as the minimum number of units that you're going to be able to purchase from them. Obviously, the higher the number of units that you buy, the lower the price point per unit is going to be. But these are the things that we really have to think about when we're thinking about, okay, what product do I want to launch on my e-commerce store? Is it something that no manufacturer makes right now? All right, well then the initial investment is going to be much higher. Yes, you might be the only one doing it, but you're going to have to throw a lot more money in it. If it's a private label or white label product that you're just putting your branding on and you believe in the product that exists already, but you have a unique marketing strategy, that's going to cost you a lot less to launch. And then drop shipping, it's going to cost you nothing to launch. You're not buying inventory. You're just setting up your site, linking it to the drop shippers, to the fulfillment centers or the manufacturers who are then shipping out the product for you. You're sending the sale to them. They're going to ship out the order. So that costs you no money up front. It'll just cost you the marketing dollars that you spend. But it's not your branded product. There's no brand equity being built. So in the long run, there's advantages and disadvantages to each. But okay, now we have a foundation of what's the difference between these different types of manufacturing. How do we find a manufacturer now that we know, like, okay, we're not going to drop ship, so we need to contact a manufacturer and create a product, or find a product that we can label ourselves, with our branding, and then go and get it and sell it. Two ways, right? It depends on where you're manufacturing. Most plastics, electronics, anything that's usually not consumable, you're probably going to be making overseas. And one of the best websites to find manufacturers for that is Alibaba. You might have heard of Alibaba, big company. But let's jump into Alibaba and see how we might go about searching for a manufacturer. Let's make this screen. So we're on Alibaba.com. We select from the drop-down suppliers, and let's say we want bamboo toothbrush. All these different manufacturers come up, and what I would do is I'm going to contact probably the first 10 that have high response rates. You want to contact a bunch of different manufacturers because you are trying to find the right fit, and the broader your search, the better chance you have of finding a manufacturer that fits what you're looking for. There's a couple of key points that I am looking for when I contact them. First off, you want a very professional message to begin with. You don't want to sound, you want to sound like, this is not your first rodeo. But you're going to ask for pricing, the minimum order quantities that they're requiring. What you want to find out how they package the units, how are they shipped, what do they offer in terms of payment terms. So a lot of people, you want to, in my experience, you want to be able to at least pay by PayPal. It gives you some buyer protection. I'm not a big fan of manufacturers who only allow Western Union or ACH, electronic transfer, because there's no buyer protection with those two. You can send the money, you might never see it again. PayPal, at least you have some protection. And at least for the first order, you just want to make sure that everything's correct. So you contact a bunch of them. I'm looking when you're having the conversation with the manufacturer after you're requesting all these details, I'm looking for speed at which they get back to me. Do they get back to me in a reasonable amount of time? They don't have to get back to me in like an hour after I send it, but within a day, I want to make sure that they're getting back to me. It shows that, they're not going to just let a message that I send after I place my order, they're not going to let that message sit for 4 or 5 days before they get back to me. That would be concerning for me and how I run my business. From there, it's not just about the speed with which you get back to me. I want to then be asking for how much would it cost for me to get a sample. I'm trying to get samples from as many manufacturers as possible that I contact, because I want to be able to evaluate the goods from all these different people. Let's say I have a couple of different good conversations with a couple of different manufacturers. Well, let's see if the product backs up the talk that they have. Now, the sample you would figure is going to be them putting their best foot forward. So if the sample's not good, you can bet your butt that the rest of the order is not going to be good. They're not going to send an okay sample and then the rest of the order is going to be great. That doesn't make sense. They're going to send the best, they're going to put their best foot forward, send you a great sample, and then, that's going to be the best that they're going to do in terms of the product quality. So you want to get a bunch of different samples from a bunch of different manufacturers and then evaluate, in their communication skills, in how the sample quality is, in the pricing, and you take all these factors and you make your decision. Now, if you're not going through Alibaba and you're maybe making a product that's like, maybe you're in, health and beauty, something that's like skincare, a lot of manufacturers in the United States are price competitive. And how do you find those people? They're not on Alibaba. Well, we use Google. We search, let's see here. We're going to pull up Google. And we are going to, nope, that's not one. All right, so Google, beauty, let's say face cream, private label manufacturers. And you see all of these different people. Oh, the Pure Source, worked with them before. I see some familiar names. And what you're going to do is it's the same thing. You're going to contact a bunch of them. What is really cool about the United States and the manufacturers domestically is that you can actually look up the address that they have in Google Maps and see if it's an actual, commercial facility or not. So let's see what we have here. We can take the Pure Source, for example, beauty private, let's see this. These are ads. Let's say Rain Shadow Labs, Sun Food. So let's see, Pure Source, right? They're at 9750 in Miami. Let's look it up. So we are here. Let's drag this little guy here. Boom, the Pure Source. That's a commercial facility. It's large. They could have, there's there's enough evidence here that they're legit enough to actually be the manufacturer. Sometimes you'll come across an address like this. Let's see. This is a suite number. All right, let's see what this might look like. Adams Farm. Well, we can't see the actual address, but this looks quite residential. And it's a suite number. So what these guys could be doing is they could be just farming leads for a manufacturer. So they are not necessarily the manufacturer themselves, or they have another facility, but that gives me a little bit of pause, and I'm trying to figure out where are they manufacturing, because if it's not on the address here, then that gives me a little bit of worry. So I want to make sure that the companies that I contact are going to have manufacturing facilities. This is 300 Port Avenue, St. Helens. Let's see. Port Avenue, St. Helens. And this is 300. This is a commercial building. Looks similar to a lot of the manufacturing facilities. That makes me feel a little bit better about contacting them and maybe going through with samples and picking them as a manufacturer that I work with. But it's the same philosophy if you do Google search or you're doing Alibaba. You're contacting a variety of these companies and you are doing your due diligence as much as possible, getting samples from a bunch of different ones, getting the pricing, getting the minimum order quantities, figuring out the communication, and then getting the samples and evaluating all of these things. And then the final step is picking the manufacturer. So, I can't tell you the final answer. There is no, perfect combination. You're going to pick what feels right to you after all these different attributes are lined up together. It might not be the cheapest manufacturer. Sometimes the cheapest isn't the best, and sometimes the most expensive isn't the best. Each journey, each product manufacturing journey is going to be different, and the first time is going to be the most nerve-wracking. It gets a little bit easier as you go. You start to pick up on small things where they might concern you in terms of communication. You learn a lot through communicating with these manufacturers. So I hope this video helps a little bit in terms of your sourcing. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, and stay safe and have a great day.